Imagine you are playing, like, the most intense, high-stakes video game of your entire life.
Oh, I know the feeling.
Right. It's this massive, immersive online world. And you have spent literally decades building up your character.
It's just grinding away.
Exactly. You've ground out the long hours to accumulate wealth. You've built an impeccable reputation. You secured alliances. And you are constantly stressing over your ranking.
Sweating over every little detail.
You're entirely invested in this digital universe. And then, without any warning whatsoever, someone just walks by and kicks the power cord out of the wall.
Oh, wow.
The screen just goes pitch black. In a fraction of a second, everything you built, all that stress, the entire world you inhabited is just gone.
Completely erased.
Yeah. And according to the source material we're looking at today, that sudden, irreversible black screen is, well, it's exactly what your real life is.
It is a startling comparison, for
Yeah.
sure. But that is precisely the core thesis of the text we're diving into today. We are looking at a translated philosophical essay by a writer named Lifechanyuan, and it's titled, "Life is But an Illusion."
Such a heavy title.
It is, yeah. And it is arguably one of the most unapologetically radical, paradigm-shifting perspectives on human existence that we have encountered. It basically takes aim at the very foundation of modern anxiety, that constant drive to optimize, to succeed, to build an empire.
Which we all feel.
Right. And it asks us to consider that we might just be agonizing over a video game that is destined to be unplugged.
So the mission for our deep dive today is to really explore this mind-bending worldview. We are going to unpack the author's core argument that literally everything that keeps you up at night is a temporary illusion.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. But we aren't just doing this as some, theoretical exercise.
No, not at all.
We want to discover the uniquely liberating and honestly highly unconventional advice this text offers for how we should actually live our daily lives once we accept this premise.
It's super practical.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we can figure out how to apply the author's advice to our morning routines, we have to understand exactly how he is defining the word illusion.
Right, because he's clearly not talking about, a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat.
No, he's applying a much more rigorous, almost clinical definition, isn't he?
He really is. The text defines an illusion with this ruthless simplicity. It basically says an illusion is any phenomenon that arises, remains for a brief period, and then completely disappears.
That's the entire criteria.
Yeah, that's it. So traditional examples like a mirage in the desert or a vivid dream you have at night, they naturally fit the bill.
Sure.
But the author radically expands this net to capture the entire physical world. So a soap bubble is an illusion.
Right.
But so are biological entities, cells, microbes, fungi. They are all illusions under this framework.
And he drags it right into our modern daily experience, too.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the thousands of photos you scroll past online every single week.
Oh, absolutely.
They appear on your screen, they exist in your consciousness for a fraction of a second, and then they vanish as you keep scrolling.
Just illusions.
Yeah, illusions. The video games we play, the movies and television shows we binge watch, they boot up, they run their course, and the credits roll.
So true.
By this definition, our entire media consumption diet is just a steady stream of illusions.
Which leads us to the central anchoring logic of the essay. And the author frames this around the concept of the 100-year dream.
I love this part.
It's a brilliant hypothetical, right? He poses this question. If you were to go to sleep tonight and dream for a continuous, uninterrupted 100 years, would it still be considered a dream?
I mean, logically, yes. It doesn't matter how incredibly vivid it was or how long you spend inside of it.
Exactly.
The absolute second you open your eyes, the dream is over. The world you were just inhabiting completely vanishes into thin air.
And that is exactly the philosophical trap the author springs on the reader. He argues that a 100-year human life is functionally identical to that 100-year dream. Yeah, it is equally an illusion because eventually it completely disappears. No matter how long a phenomenon seems to exist from our localized perspective, if it vanishes completely at the end of its timeline, it is an illusion.
That MMORPG analogy I brought up earlier feels perfect for this because it really highlights what the author is saying about the passage of time.
It really does.
Like, when you are inside the game, a 10-year server run feels like an absolute eternity. It feels so permanent.
You're living it.
Right. But when the developer goes bankrupt and the servers are permanently shut down, it doesn't matter if the game ran for 10 years or 10 milliseconds.
The end result is a black screen.
Exactly. And the author is applying that exact same logic to our actual 70, 80, or 100-year lifespans.
That analogy captures the essence perfectly, because time is used here as the ultimate equalizer. As humans, we have a really profound cognitive bias.
We do.
We categorize things based on our own lifespan. Like, we look at a soap bubble and think it's fleeting because it only lasts 3 seconds.
Right.
And then we look at a mountain range or a massive human civilization and think it's permanent because it outlasts us.
But it's all relative.
Exactly. The text deliberately strips away that localized bias. In the grand cosmic scope of the universe, 100 years in a millisecond are mathematically the same if the final destination is complete erasure.
That fundamentally shifts how we view our daily grind, which brings us to a really uncomfortable pivot.
Very uncomfortable.
If we establish and accept that human life is essentially a soap bubble-like, an illusion that will completely disappear, we have to logically interrogate our obsession with leaving a legacy.
Why do we care so much?
Exactly. Why are we trying so desperately to control futures we won't even be around to see?
The author offers a deeply humbling thought experiment to break this specific obsession. He simply asks the reader who remembers their grandparents' grandparents.
Oof, I certainly don't.
Well, many do.
I couldn't give you their first names, let alone tell you what they did for a living or what they stressed about on a Tuesday.
Almost no one can. Within just a few generations, the memories are completely blurred, if not entirely wiped from the historical record.
Yeah.
And yet, we walk around taking for granted that our lives right now, our current emails, our current projects, are of monumental, earth-shattering importance.
It's kind of absurd when you put it like that.
It is. The text points out that even historical figures, the titans of industry, the conquerors, the emperors who thought they were vitally important to the fabric of reality, are dead. Gone.
Long gone.
Yet the earth keeps turning, humans keep reproducing, and the march of civilization moves forward entirely without them.
The text is actually kind of hilarious in how bluntly it dismisses human ambition.
It doesn't hold back.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It argues that no matter how successful you are in this illusion, even if you become a literal billionaire or achieve this glorious generation-spanning family reputation, it's completely meaningless in the end.
Yep.
The text literally describes all these massive lifelong achievements as farts after waking up from a dream.
It's a very vivid, if slightly crude, way to completely deflate the human ego.
Definitely.
But it stems from a deeper philosophical argument about the illusion of control. We suffer under the delusion that we can dictate our lives, but the author argues that life is essentially a predetermined script.
We're just acting it out.
Exactly. We are merely actors playing a role. The text compares a single human being to a grain of sand caught in a massive sandstorm, or a single drop of water in the vast sea.
To that point, he notes that no human in history has ever been powerful enough to actually control everything around them.
Never.
Because if someone actually had that ultimate godlike control, they would have just chosen to live forever.
Of course they would.
They would have accumulated fortunes as boundless as the East China Sea and just never died. But every single one of them, no matter how rich or powerful, eventually hit the black screen.
They all do.
But I have to push back here, because I know what you, the listener, might be thinking.
Okay, let's hear it.
If our destiny is just a pre-written script, and we are just insignificant grains of sand who can't control anything, isn't that incredibly defeatist?
That's a fair question.
Like, if nothing matters, why shouldn't we just throw our hands up, quit our jobs, and give up on everything?
That is the most common reaction to deterministic philosophies, but it's really a misinterpretation of what the text is actually trying to achieve.
How so?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the author isn't advocating for apathy or despair. He is advocating for the relinquishment of anxiety.
Oh, I see.
The goal isn't to stop you from acting. It's to free you from the crushing, paralyzing delusion that your actions can secure you against all risks.
So it's less about giving up on life and more about giving up the expectation that you can wrestle life into submission.
Exactly. And the text uses these wonderful grounding metaphors to illustrate this. You can't expect a warm, universally positive reception when you are aggressively pushing your way up the corporate or social ladder.
Right.
You can't expect to wear comfortable shoes when the script of your life currently dictates that you are meant to walk barefoot.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, you can't demand to stay on the sunny mountain peak when it's your time to go down into the dark valley. Once you realize you aren't the director of this play, you can stop stressing over rewriting the plot and just focus on playing your part well.
Okay, let's zoom in from these grand historical concepts of legacy and empires And look at the everyday personal attachment.
The day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, because the author doesn't just stay in the clouds. He breaks down 3 specific human traps that cause immediate daily stress. And they form this fascinating causal chain.
They really do.
Let's start with the first one, which we usually use to find meaning. Love. The author calls this the most difficult trap.
Yes, the deep affections and romantic tactics that entangle us. The author quotes a famous line to illustrate this. Ask the mortal world what love is. It drives one mad to death.
Mad to death.
It's framed as the ultimate source of irrational suffering because we try to make something permanent out of an illusion. And the proposed solution in the text is quite surprising for a philosophical essay.
It really is. The author basically says, don't get bogged down in all that heavy romantic agony. Instead, it might be better to live as a beau or a dandy.
Yeah.
But I struggled with that translation a bit. Like, how does living as a dandy actually translate to modern relationships?
Well, it's an older translation, obviously, but the core concept is about living freely and playfully.
Okay.
In a modern context, it means enjoying affection and connection without letting it turn into a prison of expectation.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's not about being cold or unfeeling. It's about recognizing that the other person is also a temporary illusion. You appreciate the connection while it lasts, but you don't aggressively cling to it or try to lock it into a permanent cage.
But inevitably, when people get burned by the unpredictability of love, they try to build a wall of security using the second trap, wealth and status.
Yep, moving right down the chain.
We obsess over protecting our property, our power, our good reputation.
And here, the text offers a starkly pragmatic, anti-hustle culture view. It states that if something is truly meant to be yours in this script, it won't escape you.
And if it's not?
If it's not meant to be yours, you cannot keep it, no matter how many hours you grind or how tightly you grip it. It's a call for radical detachment from the outcomes of our labor.
Which leads perfectly into the third trap. Because once you realize wealth can't buy permanence, and it certainly can't stop you from hitting that black screen, people turn their obsession toward their physical bodies.
Health and anti-aging.
Yes. This one hits incredibly hard today. I mean, we have a massive multi-billion-dollar longevity industry, podcasts entirely dedicated to biohacking and optimizing your morning routine to live longer.
And the author points out the profound, almost tragic futility of it all. Think about the sheer volume of effort people expend.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
The paint, the powder, the plastic surgery, the highly restrictive diets, the grueling daily exercise routines. And yet, what is the undeniable result?
We all know how it ends.
Right. The text notes that despite all of this agonizing effort, wrinkles still quietly creep onto the forehead and cheeks. The sick stay sick, and the short-lived still meet untimely deaths. We simply cannot resist the natural degradation of the illusion.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the author frames this as a terrible transaction. It's not that eating a vegetable or going for a walk is inherently bad.
No, of course not.
The problem is agonizing over it. It's like a player frantically trying to bail water out of a sinking soap bubble.
That is a great image.
Right. You are turning your temporary physical avatar's appearance into your primary source of stress. The text calls this a bad deal.
A very bad deal.
You're fiddling with this today, tweaking that tomorrow, and before you know it, you are old and you die anyway, having spent your entire life worried about dying instead of actually living.
It is the ultimate bad deal. To live inside a temporary fantasy is just the nature of existence, but to indulge the fantasy to the point where it causes you daily, agonizing suffering is a tragedy.
Totally.
Which naturally brings us to the alternative. If agonizing over our daily life in this sinking soap bubble is the wrong approach, what does the right state of mind look like?
Well, the text actually maps out a whole cosmological hierarchy to explain who gets this right and who gets it wrong.
It goes deep.
It draws a very hard line between what it calls sleeping people and awake people. Now, when I first read that, my mind immediately went to how we use those words today.
Yeah.
You know, being woke to social issues or having some sort of mystical enlightenment.
Sure, that's how we hear it now.
But the text defines this very differently, doesn't it?
It does. It completely strips away the mystical baggage.
Yeah.
In this framework, the sleeping people are those who lead befuddled, heavy lives.
They're trapped in the dream world.
Yes, completely consumed by the traps we just discussed: obsession, worry, anxiety, and fear. They genuinely believe the soap bubble is made of solid concrete.
Contrast that with the fully awake people. According to the text, because these people know for a factual certainty that it's all an illusion, they don't experience these wild, chaotic pendulum swings of emotion.
They say balanced.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't experience absolute soaring bliss. But critically, they also don't experience crushing, intense grief. They are just consistently pleasant, relaxed, and calm. The author calls these awake people celestial beings.
And to fully understand the mindset of a celestial being, we have to examine the text's layered universe.
Right.
As impartial observers of this philosophy, it is fascinating to see just how far the author is willing to take this concept of illusion. According to the text, absolutely everything in the known and unknown universe is an illusion, with one single exception: the greatest creator.
Wow.
Everything else, no matter how grand, is a temporary stage.
And he means everything, like even the afterlife.
Yes, even that.
The text mentions these incredibly elaborate heavenly realms: the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. But it explicitly states that even these divine, seemingly eternal realms are technically illusions.
This is a crucial point regarding the mechanics of the author's cosmology. Why are they illusions? Because they still possess a timeline.
They still end.
Precisely. They're exponentially more beautiful, more splendid, and last much longer than our brief 100-year human dream. But because they eventually come to an end, even if that end is 10,000 years away, they meet the criteria.
They arise, they remain, and they disappear.
Yes. Therefore, even heaven is an illusion.
This raises a deeply important psychological question, though. If life and all its attachments are so clearly a temporary illusion, why are human beings so incredibly resistant to this idea?
It's a great question.
Like, why do we fight the concept of detachment so aggressively?
The author pulls absolutely no punches here. He says human beings are incredibly stubborn, obstinate, and perverse.
Tell us how you really feel, Free Thing.
Right. We just stubbornly bite down on reality, refusing to let go. We cling to our little soap bubbles with a death grip, trying to reinforce the walls.
Yeah.
And we only let go of the illusion unwillingly, with intense disappointment, frustration, and grief when the bubble inevitably bursts. We basically have to be dragged, kicking and screaming, into the black screen.
We vastly prefer the painful, heavy illusion over the peaceful, weightless awakening.
We really do.
Which brings us to the absolute best part of this text.
Right.
Having established that literally everything, from the wrinkles in your forehead to the highest celestial islands in the Elysian world, is a temporary illusion, we arrive at the author's actionable final advice.
The grand finale.
Yeah, this is the radical rule book for how you, the listener, should actually live tomorrow morning when you wake up.
It is refreshingly straightforward, and it strips away all the complex philosophical jargon. The text breaks life down into highly practical directives based entirely on alignment with your internal state.
I love that.
Rule number 1. Whatever it is, if it makes you happy, joyful, free, and blessed, do it. Embrace it fully.
Rule number 2. If something goes against your wishes and your own better judgment, don't do it. Have fun and play.
Just let it go.
And I want to pause on this because it sounds almost childish at first.
A little bit, yeah.
But when you think about it, by aggressively filtering out the things that you don't genuinely want to do, you free up the immense mental bandwidth required to actually view life as a playground rather than a prison sentence.
That is the exact mechanism. You are removing the self-imposed weights.
Totally.
But the author is also a realist, which leads to rule number 3. We all live in a society. We all have obligations we can't just abandon.
Unfortunately.
So if something bothers you, but you absolutely must do it, the author advises you to make a perfunctory effort.
I love this rule so much. So what does this actually mean for you? It means you have explicit philosophical permission to just phone it in. If you are stuck doing a task that drains your soul, but it's required to pay your rent and survive in this illusion, do not give it your absolute all. Do not bleed for a corporation.
Protect your energy.
Do not tie your self-worth to a spreadsheet. Just do exactly enough to get by. Make a perfunctory effort and fiercely protect your remaining energy for the play.
It's a brilliant defense mechanism against burnout. And the final rule, rule number 4, deals with the people and situations that drain you.
Oh, this one is great.
If something or someone is no fun, the advice is incredibly simple. See you later. Better yet, never see you again.
Never see you again. It is so unbelievably blunt.
It is boundary setting at a cosmic scale. If a situation ruins your relaxed mood and you don't absolutely have to be there, just walk away. You don't owe the illusion you're suffering.
Let's bring all of this together because we have gone on quite a journey today.
We really have.
We started by completely redefining life itself as a fleeting soap bubble, functionally no different than a mirage or an online photo. We looked at the sheer futility of trying to control our legacy after the server shuts down, and we learned to relinquish our agonizing grip on things like frantic romance, wealth accumulation, and punishing anti-aging regimens.
All the heavy traps.
Exactly. And finally, we saw the invitation to wake up, to choose to be a celestial being who simply enjoys the play without getting emotionally destroyed by the plot twists.
I think that is the vital takeaway for you, the listener. As someone who loves to learn and grow, you are naturally driven. You probably consume information, maybe even deep dives like this one, to gain an edge, to optimize your routine, or to somehow build a more secure reality.
That's usually the goal.
But sometimes the most profound aha moment isn't finding a new tool to work harder. It's the realization that you can just take the heavy backpack of societal expectations, take it off your shoulders, and put it down.
Just drop it.
You can recognize the illusion for exactly what it is and simply allow yourself the grace to enjoy it.
Beautifully said. Which leaves you with one final thought to mull over today as you go back into the world. Swefeng is right. If your life is truly just a pre-written script, and you are just an actor living inside a beautiful, incredibly detailed, but ultimately temporary soap bubble, are you reading your lines like you're trapped in a heavy, miserable tragedy? Or are you ready to finally let go, have some fun, and start playing your part like a comedy?